watching this because you're interested in a meeting we had about the descendants of the Merewether family who came here through this Hokitika bar in the gold rush in 1867, perhaps before. There were 6 children born in Piper's Flat to Alan and Phillip Sidney Merewether. Our guests at the meeting were Mike and Loretta Merewether. They came because they'd had a similar meeting in America. They'd tied together 3 families to discover their Merewether roots in England and the United States. Mike was inspired by us being newly discovered. The result of their meeting was that they made a book, but they didn't find us because our pioneer, although he was called Phillip Sidney Merewether, he had an alias which he used, Charles Murray, and so we have been rather confused and lost regarding our Merewether roots right up until today. I know one woman that lives in the North Island who thought that the Murray-Merewether confusion had happened to her grandfather, not her great-great-grandfather. Charles Murray was the 4th son of Dean John Merewether. He was an ambitious guy. He sought his own adventure away from his father. He came, as I said, early in the rush. He arrived in New Zealand aged 18 and he was aged 34 when he came here. He went to school at Shrewsbury with the big handle of Phillip Sidney Merewether. Now that was a big ask because a previous student called Phillip Sidney was actually the poet and the soldier of Queen Elizabeth I. Now he became famous when he died as a soldier and then was spun as a martyr, and his funeral was delayed until Elizabeth I beheaded her sister Mary, and then they had this big funeral 8 days later to kind of distract people from the fact that she'd murdered her sister. The Dean called all of his children after very ambitious and famous names, and all we can say is we don't know if Sidney was a poet. He certainly wasn't a soldier, but he had a jolly interesting life. He died colourfully as well. He sailed to Australia to settle the affairs of a brother of his in 1896, and it was there that he died of sunstroke. How amazing is this? Now, I walked on this beach as a child from Spencer Street the whole length of Hokitika till I got here to the tip. We called this the tip because it was actually a rubbish tip, but it didn't stop the people of Hokitika coming here during the day to fish, to walk, and just to later in the evening see if they could find the next most beautiful sunset. This place, now that I'm older, it resonates with me. I can see the boats coming in with the miners, the hoteliers, and the diggers, and the storekeepers like Sidney. Sidney got himself in these records in 1867 for being Charles Murray, Piper's Flat General Store. So how would you search for that if you didn't know to look? So this is amazing, and there was so much gold that went out of here to Melbourne, and so many desperate people that were looking for something to eat because they hadn't discovered their gold. It's rich, rich, rich. Look in papers past for a newspaper called The Colonist, 1865, and just have a read of the facts of what it was really like to be here and to be part of this amazing growth, the biggest town in the Southern Hemisphere for a short while.
Hello, I'm Alvin Olsen, partner of Bev here. She's the Johnson line, and I've been supporting Bev for the last 5 years while she's been putting a book together about the Merewether family originating in 1850, about that time back in England. Her and I have been back there researching the basis of her book, back around the cathedral, around their houses, and putting some meat on the bone as such, you know. And so that book's still in abeyance, and this information and sharing and information that she's gathering is all going into her compiling of the story. So I'm here in support of Bev. She's done a wonderful job in organising that, and I congratulate her.
The reason that I got the meeting together was because Mike Merewether here said that he was coming to New Zealand for a holiday, and could I find some Merewethers? And I thought, well, my brother John will probably never stop talking, and Graham would rather have all his teeth pulled out. So I thought I could do better. So I thought we would meet up with all of you, and it did happen. And then I had heard about this book called The Searching Family, the Merewethers in England and the United States. And I saw a copy in Hereford Cathedral, and I think I had an hour's time with an archivist. And I looked at this book and thought, oh my God. So here I have one in my hand. It's on loan, and Mike is going to tell us all about it later. And now I want the children to have a little bit of fun and to meet several of the adults. So each child is going to be given a ticket, and then they've got to go and find the adult by that name. So I will get off the mic and let that happen, and then I'm going to introduce Mike Merewether.
You might need a grown-up to help you read it. Chloe, Sophie, Flora, all the little people. Yeah. Who have we got? Sophie, that's for you. Oh, Lauren, that's for you. And that's for Zachary. This one's for Zachary. Flora.
It's like a Christmas party, isn't it? Yeah, no doubt. Two people. Just explain who they are. That's Wayne.
There's a present for you.
She's got something for you.
It's a present for you. Know me, but you take this and...
What's your last name?
John Lydon. Shannon, my mother, Joan Shannon, grew up here in Hokitika.
Everyone for coming. It's so nice to meet you. It's a little overwhelming. There are so many. The charts and all the preparation that's gone. Very touching. I guess because I'm sitting in the king chair, I can delegate. Loretta wanted to say a few things, and then I'll have last chance to correct anything that I think needs corrected.
Well, I can't say what a privilege and honor it is to be here, and I appreciate all the work that's gone into this and all the planning that's gone into this, and it's amazing. We really appreciate getting a chance to see the family here and kind of understand some of the history here. Oh, what a beautiful family. What a special moment. It will be one we always remember. So I planned a few things to say, and I'm going to be real brief. It's not going to be long. What I wanted to say, today a dream has come true for us. For the time Mike and I met, which was a long time ago, we met and started dating. I was 16 years old. And, well, he keeps saying 14. I told him I was 16. Anyway, he wanted the mystery solved. He wanted to know about the Merewether family, his dad's family. Mike's dad, his name was Fremont, never knew his dad. And at age 16, Mike started searching and found Edward Merewether in El Paso, Texas. He had written a letter to the editor regarding President Ben Eisenhower, and Mike saw that in the editor's letters to the editor. And so Mike did some research, and he wrote to Edward Merewether down in El Paso and said, "Edward, are you my grandfather?" And guess what? Edward wrote a letter back and said, Yes, Mike, I'm your grandfather. And his dad had never met him, which is hard to believe.
Since he left the family at 3 years old.
The letter was quickly answered, yes, Mike, I'm your grandfather. Edward Merewether was 80 years old at the time that Mike discovered him and kept in contact with us for 10 years. We did travel to El Paso, Texas one summer with our 3 young children and met him at his house and enjoyed very much the time we had talking with him and going out to lunch together. And especially Mike enjoyed talking a little bit about genealogy. And learning, it was real important to Mike to learn the history of the family that meant so much. It does mean so much to him. And Mike started a lifelong interest in searching to know the Merewether family. It's a delight that we are here today, getting a chance, opportunity to meet you all. It really means so much to us to be able to meet you and know that we're all family. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to my husband.
Thank you. As Loretta said, we discovered when we visited my grandfather that there were 2 other Merewether families from him. One that lived in Albuquerque and one that lived in Detroit, Michigan. So on our way back from El Paso, Texas, we stopped and met the Albuquerque Merewethers, and they welcomed us. And over the years, we got back together as a group with the Detroit and the Albuquerque Merewethers, and all of us put our letters together that I had for many years of correspondence with my grandfather and pictures and everything. And out of that came the book that Bev mentioned, The Searching Merewether Family. And it seems like we've still been searching, trying to understand exactly where we came from, how we fit in, and there's just so many things have happened over the years with ancestry.com to help connect us with you all. And I've met another uncle over in Sydney that just was very cordial, and Alvin and Bev have been so cordial in welcoming us to your beautiful area. And I just hope that this will lead to, the importance of family is so much, and we all wonder exactly how we got here and how we fit in. I think our parents and our grandparents are especially meaningful to so many of us, but there is a history there that goes back beyond that, and it helps connect us with history to see how our family fits in. And I think we all wonder what our legacy is and whether our young kids will be interested in knowing about their current grandmas and parents and how they all fit in. So thank you again for organizing this and all the work that has gone into it. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Ben.
My parents are Bev and Alvin, and I come from the Johnston line of the Merewether family tree.
I'm Kyle. My parents are Christine and Graham, and I'm also from the Johnston line of the Merewethers.
Yeah, I'm Charlie Cowie. My grandfather, Albert Charlie Cowie, his sister Nancy married Bill Merewether, and to this day I'm stalking after the graves up at the old Stafford cemetery where the Merewether family are buried.
My name's Sophie, and my mum and dad is Tamara and Chris. My grandma's Bev, and my granddad's Alvin. Well, I'm just like Sophie, only I'm Sophie's cousin.
I'm Sandy Pupic. Mother was Ida. She married Hudson Steele. I'm Jan, and I'm the same as my cousin Sandra. And I'm Lisa, and I'm Sandy's sister, Jan's cousin, also a descendant of John's.
I'm Shirley Ryan. Mother and father were Ida and Hudson Steele. My mother was Ida Merewether, a descendant from John Merewether.
And my name's Diane, and I'm the same as my sister, so Sandy, and my grandmother was Ida Merewether.
Hi everyone, I'm Jean. I come from the Johnston line. I put together a few little pictures which I'll put for everyone to look through later, but I just wanted to quickly tell you why I picked these ones. And I think it's all about numbers and names. And so the first picture I chose was Emma, the only picture I've ever seen of her actually. Oh, it's always on the table, MC. Yeah. And anyway, the story goes that my name Jean was one of her favourites. Dad told me this, and it always made me feel that I had a special link to her, even though I never met her. She died 2 years before I was born. And then I chose a picture which is also on the table of Dad's siblings, Ernest, Beryl, Terry, Jack, and little Dad, who told me he was a premature baby and would be had been the size of a pound of butter when he was born. So I picked that because although we never saw Beryl or Ernest, Dad kept those two alive for us by always talking about them. And so we had a love for them as we had for our Shannon and Johnston uncles. And a picture of Dad when he was little, a picture of Dad when he was a young man, a special picture of Dad in his army uniform, which I chose because on the back it says to Mum and Jack with love from Frank. And so obviously she was alive then. A picture of my parents' wedding photo because Uncle Jack is in it, and Mum was a cousin to Rachel, Bev's mum, Bev, John and Graham's mum, and that is where they saw each other, met each other. So that's a special link. A baby photo of me, who of course I told you about the Jean name. My brother David is David Edward. A picture of Mum and Dad as they were older because they were, it's interesting to see how people age, and they lived till they were 86. A picture of our wedding because in our wedding party we have Beverly as a chief bridesmaid and a girl. So our Johnston and Shannon links were there. I chose a picture of David's wedding. He married Lynn and they have two daughters, Sarah and Rachel. There's the Rachel again. A picture of David, Lynn, and Ian and I as we are now because we keep in touch very much, and we have a common love of sailing and hiking, which has stayed with us all these years. A picture of Ian and I had two children, Hilary James, and he is a scientist in Wellington, and he has 3 children, Levi, Ruby, Jean, my name, for me, and Tilly. And then our daughter Susan, whom we gave the name Emma, after Emma. So the name carried on, and she has given it to her second daughter Annabelle, who is Annabelle Emma, in honour of that grandmother. And she has Sophie. So I chose that. There's a family group, and then there's some sailing photos and our dog Poppy, because we love Poppy. So that's just a wee thing. But I do have a story I want to quickly tell you, because I know I'm taking too much time. But just recently, our youngest granddaughter in Wellington, called Tilly, rushed home very excited one evening after having had dinner with her best friend Olivia, who goes to the Ridgeway School in Wellington. And Tilly announced that Olivia and Tilly are related. And how it happens is, it was all drawn out on a paper serviette, which is on their fridge at the moment. It is traced back from Emma down through the Steele and Hoffman families, branch of the family, and Olivia's father, David, is Shirley's nephew. So I promised a photo of Shirley and I, which we have already done, and Tilly will be receiving that. So just a little introduction of who we are, and you're welcome to look through the folder. And Ian.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I'm Ian, and I'm married 1967. Yeah, nearly 53 years.
Phillip Sidney Merewether. I have all this information thanks to Johnny years ago, who printed it all out for me. And I'm married to Wayne. And I'll let him continue.
I think she said it all, but John was my grandfather. He died when I was about 3, and I have just one memory of him. So he was apparently, according to my dad, he was known as Jack and bank manager. Moved all over New Zealand and landed here for a while, which was where my parents met, married, and here's the end result. But that's really interesting to find out about the branch of a family that I don't know a lot about. So thank you.
Hi, I'm Tracy Ferry. I'm not a descendant of anybody here, but I'm of the Johnstone line by association. I'm produced through Johnstones and Melville and Cora over there, and I'll let Matt talk about our family.
Hey, my name's Matt. I'm from the Johnstone line. My father's John Johnstone. Got brother Kurt, Jolene, and Scott, or half brother Scott. Born in Hokitika. That's about it.
Yeah, hi, my name's John Lydon, and my maternal grandparent was Percy William Merewether Shannon, otherwise known as Terry, and he lived all his life here in Hokitika, and I have many fond memories of coming over here on Christmas holidays and other times, and had some wonderful holidays here, and so it's really great to be here, and I'm representing some of my other siblings as well who can't be here today. So.
Hi, I'm John. Some of my things that I might say I won't repeat, like Matthew's already given an idea, and you've already got an idea how I link in. But John's just reminded of something, Mel, something that he probably mightn't know, and I've forgotten how many times my father told us that his mother told him that if you want your son to be a good fighter, you call him Percy, and that might be why my Uncle Terry was called Terry instead of Percy. I don't know about that. Anyway,
I do know the reason.
Oh, you do? There you go.
He used to be very good at running as a wee child, and so he got the nickname as Terry away. I think.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's larger. Anyway, going on.
It sounds like Dad might have been a bit jealous. Anyway, I'm sorry about. I did want to say some things. It occurs to me that Merewether branches that took off to the colonies, some to the United States and some to Australia and New Zealand, we're the furthest flung, turned their backs on privilege, and except maybe for the Australian branch, but there's a lot of them held high places, but in the United States and in New Zealand there wasn't a lot of the family that got into privilege, and certainly that wasn't the case for our great-grandfather. So the other thing I wanted to say is that to Mike, that you mentioned the Michigan Merewethers, and you'll know that there are 2 Westlands in the whole world, and you've been to one of them in Michigan, and you're now in another one. So for me and the rest of us, I say welcome to you to come. You've linked the Westlands together. That's all I'll say now. I'll talk to other people later.
Thank you.
John Merewether, D.D., Dean of Hereford, the signature of the person who did the lithograph, and the date here, 1818.
Going, right?
That's good, it's
What are
lovely.
you up to here with all these names?
We've just got a photo of Bev's grandmother, Emma Merewether. So I'm just giving her a name.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and this is the Dean.
That's the Dean there, hey?
I'm Mary Rooney. I'm actually not related to any of you that I'm aware of. Although Michael might be tied up with the Jennings somewhere online via the Rochfords. I helped Beverly do a lot of research. We had lots of phone calls, very long phone calls and whatnot. And I also helped transcribe the letters so that she could actually understand what was in them.